Hey PJs, glad to see you snuggling back into another video. For today's video, I'm reviewing Cloud9 Slimery, also called VA Slimery. I think they're tied to a slime supply shop. I didn't really look into it too far, but like part of their shop is called Cloud9 Slimery, but the email updates for shipping and stuff was from VA Slimery. It honestly just confused me like pretty bad, so I would definitely recommend trying to figure out if you're Cloud9 Slimery or VA Slimery, because people can get really confused by that. Honestly, that's just a nitpicky detail, but I did want to mention it. Besides the slimes, I did get tons of extras, including this full-size Nerds and these M&Ms. They also sent a care card, which I love the way it looks. I like the font and everything. It's really pretty. They also sent this extra baggie with obviously more extras in it. It included 2 more pieces of candy, a packet of borax, and their business card, which I love these 3 colors together, especially when they're ombre. It is so gorgeous. Altogether, I purchased 8 8-ounce slimes. They were all randomized because that's just what I purchased. And the reason I purchased from this shop was actually because one of my subscribers told me that they were having a sale. I believe it was 80% off, and I just could not pass that up, so I decided to purchase from them. I did want to mention that 2 different size containers were sent. The one on the left, there were 3 of them like that. They were obviously bigger in size and volume. I did measure them out. They were like 9 to 10 ounces. So I got even more slime than just 8 ounces. I'm assuming they ran out of their regular containers or something, but I would of course always recommend sending the same containers. Anyways, this first slime, which I'm just going to call slime 1 because it's obviously a mystery slime, was just a plain white, I believe, butter slime. It is incredibly dense, and to me it smells like peppermint, so obviously it reminds me of winter, and I was really obsessed with this texture because of how dense it is. It's also extremely spreadable, like the OG butters that everyone used to make before we kind of got into the new age of slime with like DIY clays and stuff. Butters aren't as popular anymore, so it's really refreshing to see one of these OG textures again. And it's one of those ones that I really like playing with while I'm watching TV or something like that because of how dense it is. It's not gonna melt in my hands. Because of how dense it is, it doesn't get extremely poofy, but when it does, it poofs very nicely and gets really soft. Usually they get sizzly and airy, but this one became more of a really soft, silky texture, and I love that as well. Because of the way this slime looks and feels, it reminds me of marshmallow fluff, but if it was dense instead of like the normal airy and stickiness that it normally is. So if you turned it dense and obviously stretchy, it would be this slime. I don't know where I'm going with this, but that's what it reminds me of, and I couldn't get it out of my head as I was playing with this one. So I hope that makes sense. This slime might seem extremely plain, but I think the texture really makes up for it, and it definitely gets 5 out of 5 pajamas from me. Next up, we're gonna call this slime Slime 2 because, again, it doesn't have a name. This one is a yellow, I believe it's another butter slime. It's like a less clay heavy version, but still a butter slime. And because it's yellow, it just really reminds me of butter. I've been waiting for someone to do that. I know it used to be a thing when butter slimes first came to be. It seemed that everybody made a butter slime and it was everywhere, so I don't know if that was their intent with this one, but it really brought me back, especially with the texture. Like, I'm getting such nostalgic vibes from these slimes, and it's making me feel really old. While activating, I did find 2 black hairs in the slime. I just picked them out. They don't bother me too much, but I know they can bother other people. They might have been eyelashes. I honestly couldn't tell, and as soon as I picked them out, of course, I threw them away. I didn't want to keep touching them. Again, it doesn't bother me, but I did want to point it out. Like mentioned before, the texture for this one felt like a less clay heavy version of the first one, so it wasn't as dense and poofed up a little easier, plus it had some sizzles to it. I really enjoyed it, and the bubble pops while it inflated Usually they're not that great when I have other slimes, so that's usually why I like try to crunch sizzled slimes or puffed up slimes or whatever you want to say. But this one actually had really good bubble pops while inflated, so I kept making bubble pops. It was very satisfying. It also stayed extremely creamy, so like this one really reminded me of butter. And what's one of my reviews without me weirdly describing a scent? This one smelled like really sweet candy to me, almost like Smarties. I know that's two different things, but I'm not talking about the chocolate kind. I'm talking about like the little candy things. Anyways, small story time. My brother and I, when we were kids, used to crush them up and put them in my little teapot things and pretend we were sipping tea, but it was powder. We were extremely weird, but I love that memory. Anyways, this slime also gets 5 out of 5 pajamas. This next slime actually has a name to it. This is apple cider sorbet, which I believe is an icy slime, and it has a dark brown color to it with some red sprinkles on top. The first thing that really stuck out to me with this slime was the scent. It smelled like cinnamon apple cider, but like a big emphasis on the cinnamon part. It was very cinnamony, which is why it hit my nose so fast, because cinnamon scents are kind of ruthless with my nose. Like, they hurt sometimes. This one wasn't too bad, but it still was pretty strong. Like I mentioned, I don't know exactly what this texture was. I didn't look into their shop and what slimes they had. Most of them had been sold out, so I couldn't even find most of these. So I just kind of based what I thought was this one as an icy slime on the fact that it was called sorbet. So I'm not sure. It had a drizzle more like a cloud slime, but had slightly wet residue to it like an icy. So I'm not exactly sure. Either way, it did have really cool sounding bubble pops when I could get them. That was really satisfying. But what I didn't like was that it was really sticking to my table, and it had a problem with my fingernails. Like, my fingernails and this slime were about to fight each other because they were getting in each other so bad. It stuck really, really bad and under my fingernails, and it was bad. You might notice through the video my fingernails kind of slightly changing color. A few of the slimes, including this one, had some residue, so it slightly dyed my fingernails. They definitely took a beating in this video. I did really like the bubble pops with this one, but this type of texture isn't really my style. I'm not the in-between type. I don't like cloud doughs. I usually don't like ices, and cloud slimes definitely aren't my favorite. But if you like cloud doughs or you like ones that you can just squish in your hands, I would definitely recommend this one. Besides the fact that it leaves residue, maybe I just got a bad one, not sure. But this one was really satisfying to squish. Because of the residue, this one gets 4 out of 5 pajamas. Onto another unnamed slime. We're going to call this one Slime 3, and it is a chocolate brown slime with a texture that I have no idea what it is. All I wrote in my notes was that I think it feels like an icy cream, so take that how you will. This slime also had black Java chips that were scattered throughout the slime, so with that and the fact that it looks like chocolate, this really reminded me of frozen hot chocolate with like dark chocolate chunks in it. That's a very delicious thought, but it definitely didn't smell like hot chocolate. It smelled like chocolate, but it smelled like the fake chocolate. There's almost no way to describe what I'm talking about unless you know what it smells like. It smells like really sweet cocoa, but if you could make it incredibly fake. That might be a bad description of it. I don't know, but the only other thing I can think of to describe it is if you mixed sweet cocoa with a sneeze, and I think that might be a worse description. So I'm just gonna go with the first one, and maybe you guys know what I'm talking about. This slime did have a slight residue to it. It was only slight, so I wasn't extremely worried about it, but it did leave some residue under my fingernails. And again, with the texture, it was kind of one of those in-between ones, so again, not my style, but I would recommend it if you like squishing them, because this one was also satisfying to squish, just like the last one. Normally I would give this one a 5 out of 5, but I just can't bring myself to. There's something weird going on with this one, whether it's the texture or the scent. It's just not there for me. So I'm going to give this one 4 out of 5 pajamas, and I hope that's okay. Moving on, this is slime 4. It's a foggy purple jelly slime, and it is, I gotta say, absolutely gorgeous. I think it was a really risky move to add something to the slime that's normally clear to make it foggy, but I think it really paid off with this one because it looks so cute. It did have this white thing on top that was on the lid. I don't think it was anything bad, but I did take it off just in case. I just wanted to be safe. It also came with this charm. I don't know, it was with the slime and I thought it was a charm. I don't know. It's like a worn necklace. Like, it looked like it was worn with time. I was kind of confused because I've never been gifted something like this before, so I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about it. It just kind of confused me. I did have to activate this slime more than I would want to. I added a whole lake of activator on top and it squirted on me. Don't do what I do and activate slimes in the container. I always have the thought that it's going to be easier to activate it in the container, and then it blows up in my face somehow, whether it gets on me or just makes a huge mess on the table. But it was bad. Don't do that. Back to my main point. This thing was eating my activator. What you saw me add to the top, take that at least times 4, and that's how much activator I had to add. And honestly, I don't think I've touched it much since I got it, and I'm kind of scared too, because for all I know, it could be a soupy mess by now, because there are just some slimes that won't activate unless you add a freaking gallon of activator, and I don't know why. For the time being though, I did get this one to activate, and even though I completely overactivated it just to make sure I was correct, this one was definitely one of the tackiest slimes I've ever felt. Like, it would not leave my hands. And I will say I always make sure that my hands are not dry before I start filming. They're always cold. So I know my hands weren't the problem. It wasn't even sticking to my table. It just didn't like my hands, and it sucked because I love this slime to death. I'm thinking it could be lotion. That could be what made this foggy and tacky. If you don't add anything else with lotion and the lotion is your scent, it will make it really tacky. So I'm thinking that's what it was. But whatever it was scented like, it was extremely sweet. Kind of reminded me of Twilight Woods. If you guys have ever smelled that, it is one of my favorite scents. I love it. Because of the extreme tackiness, this one gets 3 out of 5 pajamas. Onto another named slime. This is Country Cornbread. It did come with the lid open. I don't know why. Honestly, it could have bumped in shipping. It didn't dry out the slime or anything, so that was awesome. But this is a light yellow, I believe, cloud dough slime that came with 2 corn charms. This one had a stronger scent as well. I'm going to assume it's supposed to be scented like the name. Maybe I'm wrong, but to me it smells like vegetables, like steamed vegetables, a very savory scent mixed with yeast. And I've smelled a slime that smells like yeast, and I don't mind it. I like the smell of yeast, but with a slime it's a little weird, but pretty realistic because obviously this is a cornbread slime. That's pretty close, and it's kind of funny because it's scented like, or it smells like vegetables, and corn is a vegetable, so it's scented like corn and bread and mixed together. That's cornbread. I don't know, I find that hilarious. I also found a 3rd corn in the slime. I had to make sure I counted them. There were 3 corns and I only added 2. I was extremely excited to find a 3rd corn. It was awesome. This slime did have a slight residue to it, but you know that I don't like cloud doughs. This one was the first cloud dough I have ever liked, if this is supposed to be a cloud dough. I'm pretty sure it is, but I'm not certain, but I'm hoping it is, because this would be like awesome. The fact that I actually like a cloud dough. The sizzles are top tier with this one. They were so incredible, and just like the way this slime looks and everything. It is so cute. I love it. It is adorable. Because the texture is a little runny, if that makes sense, I wouldn't recommend it for anything other than table play, but I think it is perfect for de-stressing and squishing, so it gets a 5 out of 5 pajamas. The second to last slime is called Pink Drink, and this is a bubblegum pink colored slime that has various sized foam beads in it and some strawberry phemos, as well as a, I believe, homemade pink drink charm. I am obsessed with how glossy this slime is. Like, you can see my future in this thing. It is so glossy, and I love the semi-thick texture. I did look into this one on their website because I wanted to know exactly what it was scented. I'll get into that later, and it is supposed to be a thick and glossy. I found it to just be semi-thick, but maybe I'm just too used to like really thick slimes. I don't know, but either way, I don't really care. It is a really good texture. It did have a slight residue and slight tackiness to it before and after I activated it, because I always try to make sure that like the tackiness and residue and stuff isn't because the slime is underactivated. Plus, I like overactivated slimes better. I'm one of those people that likes the holdable slimes. They're just my style. So I just wanted to make sure, and it did stay even after activation, but it wasn't a lot. It was extremely slight. I already liked the texture when I first touched it, so when I smelled it, I thought it got 20 times better. I've described this scent before, and I don't remember which video, and I'm too lazy to go look, so here's a good idea. Go watch all my videos and try to figure out which one it is, but when you find it, still watch the rest of my videos, because that's a fun idea. Anyways, this smelled like strawberry jello shortcake. Small version of the story I gave. My mom used to make it during the summer. I hated it, but I only ate it because of the shortcake part, because it was amazing, and it smells just like it, but with a hint of crayon. Like, I keep smelling it, and there's like a deep scent in there. Like, if you really get in there, it smells kind of like crayon, and this color also kind of reminds me of like the pink crayon. I almost ate that as a kid. Don't do that, but that's what it reminds me of. The crayon, but the other scent, yes. Also, the bubble pops were so incredible. You need to try this one. And lastly, we have Slime 5, which I left this one for last because of how gorgeous it looks. Like, oh my goodness, it looks so pretty. It is a gorgeous red clear slime with giant fruit phemos and regular phemos on the bottom. I've never seen giant fruit phemos before. They look incredible in slime. Like, why aren't people using these? And if they are, where are they at? Because I need more. I need to find these because I want to use them now, because it looks just like fruit punch. That is so cool. It also had snowflake phemos and sprinkles in it. Besides the snowflakes, it reminds me of fruit punch. So with the snowflakes, it's like a Christmas fruit punch. I don't like fruit punch, but I think it looks really pretty. But the taste of fruit punch is absolutely disgusting, and I will fight people on that one. Fruit punch is like the nastiest flavor in the world. Anyways, although I did like the way this one looked, and it was a pretty thick texture, it had really bad residue. It is a clear slime. You guys know all the spiels I've given about how I do clear slimes now, but it left a crap ton on my hands, and I really don't like residue. I don't know. I feel icky when residue gets on my hands, and it was like getting all over like the folds that your hand makes. Like when you make a fist, it got like all in the creases. That doesn't sound right, but that's where it was getting, and there was a lot. I also don't know if this one was scented, and if it was, I don't know what it was scented like, or maybe it was the phemos that did this, but this slime smelled like dust. Like, how do you get a slime to smell like dust? I want to know, because I like weird scents, but I don't like the dust scent. But it's just like really cool. Like, I want to know why it smells like dust. That is so weird, but it smells like old dust. Like, dust is already usually old, but it smells like really old dust. Like if you smelled a windowsill that has dust on it, it doesn't smell good, but maybe some people like that smell. Like, hey, I like the smell of basements, so no judging from me. but it's so weird that it smells like dust. I love the bubble pops with this one, but because of all that residue, it does get 3 out of 5 pajamas. And with that, that is the end of this review, and I really hope you guys enjoyed. I do apologize for the lack of ASMR. I had a lot to talk about with these slimes and not a lot of clips. I really need to work on that, and I do apologize. If you want to see more ASMR, I should be posting at least a few of these on my TikTok, and that's always linked in the description if you want to check that out. Since I'm a first-time buyer and this was technically like a mystery box type thing, I'm going to give my final thoughts on this. So obviously these slimes were heavily discounted. Normal price, it's still an amazing deal. As you guys could see with each slime, I did post the original price and it was still a great deal. So even though these slimes were kind of plain in like retrospect to other shops, I still think it was worth the price just because they have really good prices. Because all of these were mystery, I had no idea what I was going to be getting, but I would have loved to see more variety with what I did get. I purchased 8 slimes and 4 of them had instant snow in them, and they were all pretty similar. Besides like the jelly textured one, the other 3 were very similar in texture, so I would have loved to see more variety, especially like a snow fizz or something. I would have loved to see what this shop can do with textures. Do let me know what your thoughts were though, because this was such a big review. I would love to know what you guys thought. But with that, I am signing off and I will see you guys in the next one.